Good morning, students. As you know, we are starting our class with polity. Now, before starting the class, I want to discuss approach to deal with polity, and I will try to explain the syllabus and its points. The best way to understand what UPSC expects us and what should be our approach to study polity is go through the syllabus. The two most important things are syllabus and question paper. The question paper also helps us in understanding which topic is to be understood in what manner. See, syllabus is very indicative. Sometimes it becomes difficult to understand that what are the micro elements of this syllabus. Hence, we have to understand this through the question paper. Polity students find comparatively easy in the prelims, but they find it very challenging in the mains. Why polity is quite challenging in the mains? Because there is no single textbook available which caters the entire syllabus of the mains. And most important thing is, in polity there is lot of dynamism in the questions and expectations of UPSC. Hence, mains appears to be difficult because we have to rely primarily on the newspapers and the magazines like Yojana, Kurukshetra, Economic and Political Weekly. And for a beginner, it becomes difficult to organize the information in the form of notes. Now, let me start from the very basic. Let us understand what are the components of the polity syllabus or GS paper 2 syllabus. Fine. So, the title of the syllabus is Governance, Constitution, Polity, Social Justice and International Relations. Okay. Now, we should be very much clear about the meaning of these terms and the flow of the syllabus. In polity, there is no need to go for the prelims separately. Prelims and mains can be done in an integrated manner. Prelims syllabus is a part of mains syllabus, so I don't feel there is any requirement to discuss the prelims syllabus separately. If you have a glance over the previous question papers of the prelims polity section, you will find that it is dominated by the understanding of the constitution. Besides constitution, they have mentioned about public policy, the rights issue. All such things are anyway covered in the mains. Fine. So I will start with the mains syllabus. So basically, you have to pay attention to the word governance. What is the purpose of any political system? The purpose of any political system is governance. Now, the concept of governance is changing. There used to be a time when governance used to be limited with the governmental institutions only. For example, parliament, executive, judiciary or permanent bureaucracy. But from 1990s onwards, we have seen a big transformation in the concept of governance. in the decade of 90s, one word became the buzzword, and that word was good governance. And when we go into the detail of good governance, what we find that the idea behind good governance is involvement of the citizens and to have a citizen-centric governance, the term which is frequently used even in the reports of second ARC. Fine. So the modern idea of governance not only includes governmental institutions, it also includes non-governmental institutions. Fine. Now the non-governmental institutions which we have to study, we will have to understand the concept of even civil society, voluntary organization, voluntary sector, NGOs, self-help groups. Right? So that is the reason why the syllabus not only contains governmental institutions, syllabus also contains this particular section. And that is also the reason that instead of government word, we are using governance word. Fine. When we use government, we are focusing on the institutions, legislature, judiciary, executive, as well as the civil services. But when we are using the word government, governance rather than government, we are focusing on the process. So there can be institutions which are not part of government, or you can say which are non-governmental institutions, but they are performing the tasks which are of public nature. Now, besides law and order, what other function a government is expected to perform? Since the end of Second World War, the concept of welfare state has come into existence. India is perhaps the first constitution in the world that incorporates the idea of welfare state. The most important part of the constitution which incorporates this idea is directive principles of state policy. So governance also deals with public service delivery. In present time, it is not possible that government alone will be able to manage this. Hence, the concept of involving the voluntary associations, non-governmental associations, self-help groups, and even private sector has become a part of governance. Sometimes in interview, they ask very basic questions. Sometimes they want to test your alertness. Sometimes they want to understand whether you try to understand the concepts or how deeply do you go into something. Number of times students are even unable to tell what is the exact title of the paper 2. We take it for granted that the title of this paper is Constitution. And I have seen students, they are doing only Constitution for the 90% of their time. Most of the students feel that if they are thorough with the book of Lakshmikant, they will be able to manage, but that is not the case. And polity as a subject requires that you understand the vocabulary. Every subject has its language. Every subject has its texture. every subject has its discourse. So even if it is a general study paper, yet it is expected that students understand the terms very clearly. For example, the Constitution itself says under 73rd Amendment Act that state legislatures have to devolve powers to the third tier. Now, if we are unable to make a difference between the devolution, decentralization, delegation, and we take it for granted that there is no difference between devolution and decentralization, then we will not be able to critically examine or critically analyze 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts. Now understand that without conceptual clarity, without understanding the idea behind a term, you will not be able to do justice with the type of questions they are asked, because they normally asked how to go for. Every question will go for mostly the critical evaluation. Fine. So while teaching, I emphasize that my students, they develop a good hold on the entire language of polity. They develop a good understanding of the concepts in polity. Fine. Now let us come to the second term, constitution. Yeah, constitution itself is a very important base to understand the governance. Fine. So basically the paper is on governance, but to understand the governance we have to first start from the constitution. Remember, we are not doing law, so don't worry that we have to understand the constitution in the way the law students are supposed to understand. Basically, Indian constitution, I think, is the most interesting study of the constitutions. I will ensure that you don't get frightened when you study the constitution. Rather, you will definitely fall in love with our constitution, and you will really be able to appreciate the vision and the work of our members of the Constituent Assembly. Indian constitution is now one of the most important area of analysis in the higher studies in political science. Lot of work, this has attracted lot of scholars from the western countries like Granville, Austin and others. So don't get frightened with the Indian constitution. Now, how to study Indian constitution? Normally I will recommend that as a student you stick to Lakshmikant. I am there to explain. Lakshmikant is more of a factual book, but once you understand the idea behind, the concept behind, at the student level, you can keep Lakshmikant as your reference. Normally, you must have seen civil service students also carrying a book of PM Bakshi, but they do not know what to do with that book. See, PM Bakshi is a reference book where the articles of the constitution are written, and constitution is, you have to understand constitutional provisions very thoroughly, both for prelims as well as for mains. See, we can analyze the governance, whether governance is as per the constitutional objectives or not, only when we understand the constitution. We can analyze, for example, the institution of governor or the institution of speaker, whether the speaker's action, for example, in anti-defection is right or wrong. If we do not know the constitutional provisions, if you do not understand the vision of the constitution, for example, rule of law, empowerment of the people, understanding of social and political justice, how are you going to analyze? See, you have to study the subject in a very organic and in a very natural manner. You cannot understand the constitution if you are doing it very mechanically, just understanding this is written in this article. You have to understand the logic behind different articles. You have to develop some sort of I will say a sort of empathy with the provisions of the constitutions. You have to own this is your constitution. This constitution has been made for your empowerment. It should not be seen as a burden. Rather, it should be seen as something which not only the UPSC aspirant, any person, any literate person should be aware of the constitution, because if you are not aware of your constitution, anybody can violate your rights and you will not even come to know how to go for the ventilation of your grievances. Fine. So I will say, don't fear the constitution, love the constitution, own it, and definitely after studying the constitution, I am sure you will fall in love with this is like a very, very wonderful work. Now, when I teach constitutions, I have faced two questions from the students. The first question is, do we have to mug up the articles? First of all, mugging up is a very bad word. Unfortunately, this has been the trend in Indian education system. But first of all, don't mug up anything, understand. Second thing is, you are not required to remember each and every article. What is the use if you remember each and every article? You have to understand it. And when you understand, you anyway come to know. Fine. Now, there are some articles which are so frequently used that it automatically registers in your memory. For example, you need not to mug up Article 32. You need not to mug up about Article 370. These things keep on coming. Don't do anything forcibly. I will ensure that the Indian Constitution comes to you very naturally. Okay? Now, when I discuss Indian Constitution, I give reference to the cases. Again, this is troublesome for the students. Students again they feel that we have to mug up so many cases. See, there is no need to mug up the cases. Why we do the cases? See, Indian Constitution, or for that matter, any constitution, any written constitution is primarily a judicial construct. One of the justice of USA, Justice Holmes, said, we are under the constitution, but constitution is what judges say. Ultimately, the higher judiciary, Supreme Court and High Court, they are the interpreters of the constitution. What is the meaning of the term secularism used in our constitution? It is not given clearly in the constitution. So how are we going to understand? We can understand only with reference to the judgments of the Supreme Court. Basically, the study of constitution is the study of constitutional law, and Constitutional law is nothing but a process of judicial review. Judiciary has such a significant role. That is why you must be knowing that judiciary is known as the guardian of the constitution. Fine. So again, there are very prominent cases. You will not require any extra effort to remember them. But when you write a particular article, you have to authenticate your understanding with the help of the cases. Anyway, if something is troublesome, if you feel I cannot remember, but it will not happen. Even if we have not started the class, still you must be knowing about the famous cases like Keshwanand Bharati case, Minerva Mills case, Menaka Gandhi case. Fine. So don't worry about the cases. Yes, if you will add cases, this will give a value addition to your answer. Remember, we are preparing not for graduation, rather we are preparing for competition. Competition again means we should perform better than the others. If I will not take any extra efforts, obviously I will not get extra marks. It is a law of nature, it is a law of physics. Even Newton said, after every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. What you give, so you reap. Fine. If you will not put an extra effort, you cannot expect that you will get an extra marks. And if you will not perform better than the others, you are anyway out of the race. Fine. So whenever we take a decision to enter into the fields or the career like civil services examination of India is one of the toughest examination. It cannot be everybody's cup of tea. So you have to understand that there will be certain level of difficulty, because they are looking for persons who can really be seen as the steel frame of our country. So what is civil services? Civil services is a steel frame. Fine. So you have to be strong like a steel. And once you decide, it is not possible to come out. You cannot come out. Rather, you have to learn ways how to cope up with. Preparation of civil services is like you are entering into a war. First of all, taking a decision to enter into a war is not easy. But once you take that decision, you have to understand the seriousness of that decision. You have to evaluate the seriousness of your decision that you are going for civil services, leaving your present lucrative profession. Somebody may be doctor, somebody may be CA. You have to understand that. And unless you do not understand the value of what you are going to do, you will not be able to put the amount of the effort that is really required. Now, let us understand this word polity. The term polity, what does it denote? If you see, technically speaking, the term polity comes from the Greek word polis. Polis. Now, what does polis denote? Polis denotes that time city state. Now we will use state. Fine. State. What is a state? A state is an idea. A state is an abstraction. You cannot see the state, but how do you, instead of a state, what you relate with the state? You relate governance or government. Fine. So the word polity used here, it is basically suggesting you understand governance. Fine. So that is why the governance term here is comprehensive and it includes everything. And what's they expect you? They expect you first you understand the constitutional provisions, then you understand the functioning of the government. Where are these topics? That I will also explain. Fine. How it actually functions. Now, social justice. Social justice is the ultimate objective of our governance. If you see the preamble, one of the aims of the Constitution mentioned in the preamble is justice, social, economic, and political. If we are unable to do the social justice, then the entire effort and experiment is failed. Now, social justice requires that we should be able to give a life of dignity to the most vulnerable sections of the society. Now, who are the vulnerable sections of the society? Obviously, the women, the members of minority community, the members of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe community, our senior citizens, our children, these are the vulnerable groups. So if we are able to give them a life of dignity to these sections, and this entire system exists for that. The Constitution doesn't exist for the powerful and the privileged. The Constitution exists for those who are the underprivileged. Give them justice, give them rights. So there is a section of social justice which is very logically placed. And now international relations. International relations was initially not that important, but as we are living in an increasingly interdependent world, I will say there is hardly any difference between the global and the local. So international relations is going to have a greater importance in the times to come, and hence there is a section which you have to understand. Even if suppose there is an issue of human rights violations of the members of Dalit community. Now India is a signatory to UN conventions on the rights of minorities. India, it is because of the international organizations that India has to bring the National Human Rights Commission. So we have to go for, and we have to understand the linkage between an individual, society, governance, nation, global, and obviously understanding of international relations is very, very important. Fine. Now, though this is a general studies paper, but it is also not so basic as in case of other exams like SSC or NDA. Civil Services General Studies paper, the level is comparatively higher. Hence, in order to develop a good grasp of the subject, one should have some brief understanding of some of the concepts which normally come under political science. Not in detail, but the brief understanding. And if you have that brief understanding of the theory, you will be able to evaluate the Constitution in a better way. You will be able to evaluate governance in a better way. Now there are some names of economics or political science, let us say Amartya Sen. For example, other name, for example, Michael Sandel, John Rawls. So if you will add their perspectives to your answers, it will give a very fresh feeling to the examiner rather than, and it will break his monotony. Try to do something new. Try to break the monotony. The art of answer writing is what? The art of answer writing is you have to attract that examiner towards your writing. And answer writing, understand, we all are humans. And by nature, emotions play a very important role in the human nature. So if you can appeal to the emotions, how do you appeal to the emotions? Do you understand that normally when you write essay, we start with the quotes because that expression helps in attracting the attention. It touches our emotions. So in ethics, you will study one value, empathy. So I will say you should have empathy, not just with the people, but also with the syllabus that you are going to do. Develop an empathy with the examiner. Try to feel, try to understand what the examiner would expect. If you have been in his place, you would have awarded marks for that. For what? Okay. And understand the importance of polity. Without strong foundation in polity, you will not be able to handle your ethics paper. So it is like for ethics also you should have proper understanding of certain concepts, and if ethics can be related to the constitution, you must have heard about the term constitutional morality. Our Supreme Court has used in number of cases, for example in Sabrimala case. So morality and ethics is what? Morality and ethics are the standards which should determine our conduct. So as a civil servant, you have to give the primacy to constitutional morality. Fine. The yardstick to check any rightness of an action or rightness of a policy is going to be what? Constitutional morality. Fine. So that is why I would recommend that you study the subject, you enjoy that subject, you embrace the subject and be very natural. I am sure that you will start loving it. Now let me come to the detail of the polity syllabus and where what is required and how are we going to proceed. Now I will explain, after explaining these terms, I will explain the topics in the syllabus so that you can relate which topic is what, and is it a social justice topic, is it a governance topic, it is a constitutions topic. Fine. So the first topic obviously is Indian Constitution, because on Indian Constitution everything else is based. You must be knowing that Constitution is a fundamental law. So because rest of the system is based on the Constitution, the thorough understanding of Constitution is required. Constitution is going to play very important role in your prelims exam, but also in your mains exam. Now, historical underpinnings. So they want that you understand the evolution of the Constitution. This is a part which is also overlapping with your modern India. From exams point of view, this is from mains point of view, this is not very important, but at least two acts you should understand. Primarily, Government of India Act 1919, but this more than that, Government of India Act 1935. Fine. So historical underpinnings and evolution. Next is like the features of the constitution, the salient features. Ours is the lengthiest constitution. It's a combination of rigid and flexible. India has a unique model of federalism to address our diversity. So some of the prominent features of Indian constitution have to be understood. Amendments. Normally you will see whenever any amendment happens, they do ask question on that. So constitution amendments. Now with respect to the amendments of the constitution, there is a theory or there is a concept of basic structure. Every year or every alternate year you will find some question related to the basic structure. Significant provisions and basic structure. So basically they have also highlighted significant provisions, the provisions which hold a special importance for functioning of Indian political system. For example, fundamental rights, directive principles, parliament, judiciary, Panchayati Raj, 5th and 6th schedule. Fine. So in a way we have to study the entire constitution. So this is the part which is dealing with constitution. Now the topics following this, here comes your polity, the functioning of the political system. Fine. So I'll see functions and responsibilities of union and state government, issues and challenges pertaining to the federal structure. Now if you talk about some contemporary issues, the contemporary issue can be the decision with related to Article 370. Now you can also say that how the corona crisis is impacting the functioning of Indian federal structure, or how the federal structure has performed in context of the management of the crisis. There can be a question on the fiscal federalism, the report of 15th Finance Commission. Fine. So now this is all the polity section, devolution of powers and finances up to local level and the challenges, because ultimately good governance requires empowerment of the Panchayati Raj and municipalities, and the most important empowerment for the governmental organizations is obviously fiscal empowerment. You can see the budget and most importantly economic surveys repeatedly writing about the issue of panchayat finances. Number of times new concepts come, for example the equilibrium trap, etc. So this is going to be a part of this syllabus. Now separation of powers between various organs, dispute redressal mechanisms and institutions. Fine. So separation of power, separation of power is one of the institution of rule of law. Fine. Rule of law is a basic structure of Indian Constitution. Now the separation of power between various organs. For example, there can be a question on the relationship between legislature and judiciary, the executive and judiciary, the questions of judicial overreach, judicial activism can come here. They can ask you a question on the debate between legislature and judiciary with respect to NJAC or the system of appointment of the judges. Okay. Now, comparison of Indian constitutional scheme with that of other countries. Up till now, they have not been asking question on this, but last year they have asked a question, two questions, one related to the American president and the second related to the secularism, for example, what France can learn from Indian secularism. So I expect that in coming times the weightage of this section is going to improve. Anyway, Indian constitution has taken a lot of ideas from other constitutional schemes, and sometimes when we have to suggest any reforms, for example, how to reform the institution of a speaker, we need to understand what is the nature of the institution in other countries, for example in Britain, for example in USA. Okay, and to get good marks, if your approach is comparative, that comparative approach is going to give you better marks. Fine. Now again, this all is again, it will come into your polity section. Parliament and state legislature, their function. This topic is also very, very important in your prelims. Powers, privileges and issues. For example, what are the important issues? Anti-defection law and the role of a speaker. The office of profit issue, the privileges of parliamentarians and the tension between the privileges and the fundamental rights. There can be a general question on decline of parliament, reforms of parliament, utility of Rajya Sabha, how to reform legislative councils. Fine. So now, salient features of the Representation of the People Act. We have to understand the system of elections, the powers of election commissions, the important provisions of 1950 and 51 Act, important judgments, issues like state funding, electoral reforms. This is, see, if you do the polity section properly, you will get not only advantage in your ethics paper, there is a possibility of the topics to come even in your essay paper. So very important from that perspective. Next is constitutional posts, power, functions and responsibilities, statutory, regulatory, quasi-judicial bodies. Fine. So this is all a sort of institutional structure. See here, the new concept of governance, because besides these institutions, we will also have to study government policies, interventions in various sectors, the role of NGOs, self-help groups, various groups, associations, donors, charities, institutions and other stakeholders. The new concept of governance. Fine. Now, these are the issues related to social justice. Fine. The welfare schemes for vulnerable section. Institutions and bodies constituted for protection of vulnerable section like NHRC, National Commission for Scheduled Caste, National Commission for Minorities. So bodies that keep track, which act as a watchdog for these, to ensure the accountability of those who are in administration. Now similarly, important policies and programs of government, issues related to poverty and hunger. This is the most important part from exams point of view also, and also challenging, because here what to study and what not to study comes a question, because you will not get it at one place. You have to go for the newspapers, Yojana, Niti Aayog documents, and then you have to understand the philosophy behind. Suppose if I tell you Manrega, but I don't tell you that it's an entitlement based theory based on ideas of Amartya Sen. Even I have seen they are asking questions related to Amartya Sen. So you have to understand the concept, the theory, the provisions, the drawbacks, the strength, and you have to suggest how to make it better also. Now, this is the constitutional provision, this is the objective. How are we going to achieve that objective? For that, this is written as an important aspect of governance. Understanding transparency. When you will become a civil servant, you have to understand, or you have to implement all these things. Transparency, its value. Accountability, citizens charters, these are some new institutions that have become part and parcel of democratic functioning. You need not to go through the report of second ARC and all. Don't overburden yourself. We will provide you notes in the way that you can easily understand, and you need not to understand, you have to imbibe these things. You not only have to clear civil services, you have to become one of the distinguished persons of the civil services. Fine. So always think higher and understand these are going to be a part and parcel of your life. Now, role of civil services in democracy. This is also you have to understand, and this is not very elaborately written, but there are certain issues. If you have some idea of the public administration syllabus, you will understand that normally we have to understand what is a development administration, what is a neutrality issue, what is a generalist, specialist, what are important reforms related to civil services happening in the country. Now, international relations. So, foreign policy, important is neighborhood. Again, SAARC, BIMSTEC, India-Pakistan, India-Afghanistan relations. So it's not that you have to just study the current affairs, you have to understand things from the basics. Bilateral regional groupings and organization, effects of policies and politics of developed and developing countries. For example, USA's stand on climate change, USA's stand on WTO, Doha talks, and other issues. Important international institutions. Like these days, a lot of articles are coming on the role of WHO in the crisis. Fine. So I hope you have understood like what we are going to study. Fine. Now I will also show you the previous year question paper so that you understand the nature and the depth of knowledge what is required in the exam. I hope with the discussion of the syllabus you have understood that what we are supposed to do. Now to have more clarity, let us see the 2019 question paper and we can understand how they frame the question and whether we will be able to manage this exam only through if we refer Lakshmikant or not. Fine. So let us see. Now this is the first question. Do you think that the Constitution of India does not accept the principle of a strict separation of powers? Rather, it is based on concept of checks and balance. Almost a direct question from your topic, separation of powers. But what is the expectation? You should be clear about what is separation of power. Then what is checks and balances, which type of separation of power India has, then what does Supreme Court has to say about the type of separation of power, then you have to give your own opinion. So this is the topic, this is from your separation of power topic. Now CAT, which was Central Administrative Tribunal, which was established for redressal of grievances and complaints by or against central government employees, nowadays is exercising its power as an independent judicial authority. So we can link it with the grievance redressal topic. Nowadays there is a talk of tribunalization of justice, how tribunals are weakening the role of High Court, and evaluation whether CAT is working on the expected lines, what is expected out of this tribunal, or whether it is not doing so, and how it is impacting the functioning of High Court. So like you must have seen an article like tribunalization of justice. You can also write about what reforms government is taking. Now the next topic, methods used by farmers organization to influence the policy makers in India, and how effective are these methods. So we have a topic of pressure groups, and you require to use the theory also. Then some recent farmers movements. For example, you can also talk about the recent movement just before elections, the farmers, the movement in Mumbai, the movement in Delhi. So again, integration of the theory and the current part. From the resolution of contentious issues regarding the distribution of legislative powers by courts, the principle of federal supremacy and harmonious construction have emerged. So see, this is a question which is not so simple. You have to understand the contentious issues. These type of questions cannot be dealt with without having a proper grasp of polity. You cannot mug up these questions, fine? So understanding how principle of federal supremacy has come into existence, center and state relations, misuse of Article 356, harmonious construction between the fundamental rights, directive principles, fundamental duties, so many topics, they go for interlinking. You have to learn the interlinking. Now what France can learn from Indian Constitution's approach. So nature of Indian secularism. So that is why I am saying you have to start with some basic understanding even of the political science and the debates. Now, despite consistent experiences of high growth, India still goes with the lowest indicators of human development. Examine the issues that make balanced and inclusive development. So issue of poverty and hunger, the ideas of Amartya Sen, you have to bring stats here. Again, another question, growing divergence in the relationship between poverty and hunger, the shrinking of social expenditure. Now this topic, this is from social justice. Now this topic, information and communication technology, government's push for digital governance, e-governance, its role. Now they can link it with, you can give example that it would have been unthinkable in the corona time if there had been no digital governance, right? Now India and Japan relations, India and the major powers. This is like major international organizations and representation of people act. So they have touched almost every topic. Parliament's power to amend the constitution, basic structure. I said they will ask definitely in one way or the other way. Again, reservation for women, gender justice, social justice. You can link attorney general's role of parliament. So there will be questions on constitution, questions on governance, international relations, social justice. Each and every topic has to be covered, and without understanding, developing ability to do the networking of ideas, it will not be possible. And you have to have a very active mind. You have to associate yourself actively with the paper, and there is nothing that no purpose is solved if you just mug up. Now let us discuss my teaching methodology and approach. So we will be going for a mix of methods, because different topics will have different type of requirements. Now what I feel, that whether it is a prelims question or whether it is a mains question, a student should focus on developing certain skills. Remember, civil services examination is not a knowledge examination. It is, but it is also a personality examination. Now, personality of a civil servant. What skills a civil servant should have? Since you will be interacting with the people, you should have ability to comprehend things. So I would recommend that you develop comprehension. If you understand CSAT paper, comprehension is given so much importance. Every good answer begins with proper comprehension. Do you understand the heart and the soul of the question? Do you understand what other person is saying? Comprehension. It is about communication. So how simple you can make your communication, how it can be easily understood by the other person, how you should evolve your ideas. So develop comprehension skill, develop ability to simplify the things, how you can make things simple, develop ability of systematic thinking, develop ability of logical thinking. What are the pros, what are the cons, as well as develop the ability of interlinking of knowledge. Something you may study in economics, you can apply here. Something you can study in polity, apply in ethics. Do the interlinking. I will start with the basics. We will first do the constitution. After finishing the constitution, we will do governance and social justice, and in the end we will be doing international relations, because by that time we will be able to cover more and more current portion. I will give some notes. I will also give notes. I will also dictate certain notes, and maybe to develop your comprehension skills, analytical skills, I will be giving you certain assignments, and I will suggest that go slow, try to understand the things, and don't get frightened. With the right approach, right material, we will be able to secure good marks, and polity will not at all be something that should trouble you. Yeah, and one thing, because we are doing this tablet course, I feel we can use our time in a more productive manner, and as you know, there will be a discussion followed by once the class is over, it will be followed by discussion, so we can also save our time. And what I expect you, that you should be ready with your notes copy or paper. I will recommend get different envelopes, and suppose we finish federalism, you place your notes in that, and any new article from the newspaper come, you can that straight away put your notes or put that article for value addition. And you can also use different color pens, so that with one pen you can write the article, with one pen you can write the judgment. So suppose I have to only revise the article, I can see that. I have to revise only the judgment, I can see. So I will prefer make notes on the papers, and once one topic is over, put it into a separate folder, and anything in polity or anything in newspaper which is related to our syllabus, just you can keep on adding the notes, because notes in civil services are going to be dynamic. It cannot be static.